All right. Good morning, Top Fan Rivalry and family, and welcome to Around the Diamond. Uh, I am Bill. That is Sam, Grand Slam Sam. I'm Baseball Bill. We are going to put a show on for you every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, which on the West Coast is 7 a.m. and not totally awesome. But that being said, we'll work on that. Anyways, Sammy, take it away. How the heck are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, and good morning, ATD family. We are back after a hiatus of being gone for a little bit. It was long, but Bill and I, we need a bit of a break, get our baseball juices refreshed and reflowing. But we are back. We are excited to be here. I'm gonna start this off as I always do. Baseball Bill, how are you doing on this beautiful Saturday?
Oh, I'm absolutely amazing. It is what we call Randy Day here. You ask what Randy Day is, Sam? Let me tell you. A couple of my buddies, when they were in college in the 90s, used to pay for their college by betting on Randy Johnson every time he pitched. Because, let's face it, he was what, 19-3 or whatever. So these guys would come out and they'd be like, "It's Randy Day." And so today is Randy Day. We are playing TFR softball right across the street from the pizza store, Sam.
Oh,
Right across the street from the
that.
pizza store.
Great pizza out there. I was lucky enough to get out to California just last week for the family reunion, and Bill was kind enough to give me and my wife a lovely tour around Southern California, take us to a couple of our amazing sponsors. The pizza store by OC Local. Great pizza. I'm not gonna lie, it's not it's good. It will compare to some of the Jersey pizza places, but it's not like Jersey Shore pizza. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit smaller, but still great quality. I will give Bill his kudos where they are due, because I put a lot of expectation on Bill's head when it came to the pizza. We also went to see our fans at the gallery.
Art Center Gallery? Yeah.
Gallery, where they have unbelievable artwork. Let me tell you, the artist that primarily supports and does the artwork for there does an amazing job. A lot of different baseball things, a lot of movie items. Big fans of Monopoly. Strongly encourage, if you like unique pieces of art, you get down there, check them out. Great guys. Trying to think where else you took me to, because we went and saw so many of our sponsors.
Ruby's. We went to Ruby's.
Diner, where, let me tell you, the milkshakes do not disappoint. If you're just planning on going for a milkshake, I strongly encourage you get the half onion ring, half French fry appetizer order to go with it. It's the perfect combo of sweet to salty, that it sets it apart. And then we also had an awesome time going and seeing, we had an awesome boat tour on Saturday, going all around Newport Harbor, which was awesome, seeing all the multi-million-dollar mansions that none of us could ever afford in our lives. And then we had a great dinner that Saturday night to wrap it up. I know Bill and a couple of the other guys did some things on Sunday and Monday. My wife and I, unfortunately, had to head home. But I want to ask, how was Disney Monday?
So I didn't actually make it to Disney Monday because of Amber's tire, right? So I was getting my wife's car detailed so we could, tour everybody around, and I found a split in her tire, and we couldn't get a tire until Monday, Sam.
Oh, man.
And it was
run flats, right?
Yeah, you had run flats, so that was fine. But it was, they couldn't get it till 2:30 on Monday, so I could have paid the $249 to go to Disneyland, which would have been a 3-day hopper pass for local California residents. But I could have paid the $249, but by the time the park opens at 10, I would have been there for 3 hours or so, and then had to run home, which is like a 20-mile drive just to go back to. It was too much.
Well, again, I learned something this weekend. You don't talk in miles; you talk in minutes when it comes to driving out in Southern California.
Yeah, we talk. Yes, that's very much a cultural thing. We don't say, because back on the East Coast, and I learned this when I was in Michigan, when somebody says I'll be there in 20 minutes, that's 20 miles. California, be there in 20 minutes could be 3 miles.
Yes. That is a true statement. But the family reunion was a great time. Hopefully
Yeah.
next year more of the top fan rivalry members can get out there. We can make it much bigger. We want to, encourage you guys to come out. The family reunion is meant to be in time when we can all just hang out, get to know each other, talk good baseball, have some laughs, and just enjoy ourselves. My wife and I, we met a great couple during the Friday night, meet and greet session. We plan on hopefully growing that friendship. Hopefully they make it out here to the Philly area for spring break during the school year, and that way we can kind of give them a tour around the Philly region, take them to some great hot spots, and hopefully catch a Phillies game in the process. And there have been some talks on the horizon of the family reunion making an appearance mid baseball season out here on the East Coast. So we'll see how that plays out. We won't go too deep into it yet, Bill. We want to keep it a surprise. We want to make sure we have it all in a row.
That quote unquote hot stove or hot take has caught fire. So
we'll talk more about it as
I think that might happen, but we're all staying at Sam's house.
Definitely won't be able to fit, especially around the time of year that plans on happening.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll give you guys a little special insight into what's coming. So definitely is not going to be feasible for the Weisbuck household to host all those families here. Just won't happen.
Yep.
But we'll look into some big Airbnbs. How about that? We'll look into some of that stuff and see what we can do.
Perfect.
But
Airbnbs.
We talked about our sponsors who we are so appreciative, support the CFR and ATD community and allow us to do what we love to do throughout the week, on the weekends, which is talk about baseball. It's our pastime. It's our favorite thing to talk about. So we appreciate you supporting us and allowing us to do that. We're going to jump right into it today on our slide deck. And we're going to talk about the big free agent signings that have happened since our last time we got together to yesterday, where yesterday and the day before was like a free-for-all. It was just like 3 major signings. We got to talk about it all. So let's go through these. We got some time, so let's light it up on this one. First and foremost, Kyle Schwarber going back to Philly. Big shocker on my side. I honestly thought he was going to make a quiet exit and then make a giant cannonball splash by signing with his hometown city of Cincinnati Reds. Was it surprising to you that he decided to stay in Philly?
Yes. In fact, a lot of the Reds fans were thinking that, my cat thinks it's time for her to be on ATD as well. Come on.
I love seeing the cat.
I fully anticipated Kyle Schwarber signing with the Reds for sure. And I did not expect him to go back to Philly. I want to say that at the end of this contract, he'll be in his late 30s. So, yeah, this one was surprising to me.
Yeah, and as we talk about that, we also see that on the bottom row, JT Realmuto re-signed on a 3-year, $45 million contract.
100%
is a trusted, trusted veteran behind the plate. Great power hitter when he gets bat the ball. Got a fast up time. Great defensive player. But I want to call something out, and I want to get your opinion on this. One of the things that we've been hearing a lot over the last couple of years is that the Phillies are aging. They're getting older, and we're not seeing as much youth coming up through the minors up to the big leagues. With these 2 signings coming back, is that kind of going to be the talk of the town going into this?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And that if I'm a Philly fan, I love that. But if I mean, I love seeing it. Um, but I don't love yeah. If I'm a Philly fan, I love seeing it, getting these guys back, but I don't love that we're not going youthful.
Yeah. You got a good farm system. You made a lot of trades over the years to bring in some good youth. And you're seeing these guys get stuck in the minors. And players want to play. They want to make it to the big leagues. That's why they do this. So what do you expect for the Phillies over the next 3 to 5 years now, especially with these guys being re-signed? Do you think that we might eventually get some youth to come up, or do you think we're kind of going to see similar to what we've seen over the last 3 years, which is, while still a great team on the field, more age and possibly getting slower as that comes?
So your question's a good one. So the Phillies have got to be very strategic at this point. So baseball is about capitalizing on winning and being able to recruit good free agents based on your capitalization of winning, which we'll get to that in a second. And then the second thing is the talent and how you draft and how you bring them up. With what you got right now with Philly, they're going to have to capitalize on their winning. So they're going to have to go out at the trade deadline, maybe grab another piece or have a really good 26, so that in 27 they can land, a younger free agent, whoever's available. I mean, at this rate, Cody Bellinger will be available because he hasn't signed with anybody yet, but we'll talk about that later. And so you got to do that. The second part of it is you have to draft really well, and you got to go down to the farm, AA and AAA, and pick your ponies and just look at them and say, boom, these are the guys that we want to go forward with, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, it's
yes. Philly for a long time, in my eyes, was a popular destination for free agents to sign in, because obviously up until the last couple of years, but that's because you got in Harper, you got JT Schwarber, you got Trey Turner, you got you had a solid group of guys. But now, as these guys start to age, I think we're starting to see Philly not be the team that players want to jump to, because it's starting to become that older organization. So I think it's going to be really interesting over the next couple of years to see the dynamic of that organization change.
Agreed.
So let's move on. Let's talk about 2 Dodger signings that happened this offseason.
Who, Sam? Oh, wait, you're not contractually obligated anymore.
Yeah, that contract has ended, so we're good. Edwin Diaz, 3-year signing for $69 million. And then what I think might be the most ludicrous dollar amount to give to a guy for 4 years, Kyle Tucker going to the Dodgers for 4 years on $240 million, averaging $60 million a year.
Okay. Can I just tell you, when you say ludicrous, I literally
Please put some thought in my mind as to how this logically makes
No. You're going to appreciate this, Sammy. You're going to appreciate this. Don't worry. And good morning to everybody. This is a show that we do every Saturday, same time, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. If you ever want to be a guest on it, let us know. We'll put you on. Our good friend Mike is on here, and we love him for that. Anyways, Sam, literally, you're going to appreciate this. The other night, I don't know, Monday night, Tuesday night, Amber and I just needed to blow off some steam. So we put a movie on in the background and we played some cards. We played a game called Sequence, and it was amazing. And we had Spaceballs on.
Classic.
Yeah. So as soon as he said ludicrous, I'm like, ludicrous speed. That's what I was thinking. So you were talking about Kyle Tucker. I was thinking about Spaceballs. I'm sorry. What? Yeah.
Well,
I
I
mean,
think
this.
the Dodgers are up in space offering $60 million a year to Kyle Tucker.
I know, but listen, do I
let's
think
break
he's
this
worth
down.
it? If you're asking me, is he worth it?
Let's
I
break
don't
this
know.
down now. Let's break this down. Let's break
Okay.
it down. You know,
Are we doing math here? I mean, it's pretty early on the West Coast.
no, I'm not gonna. I mean, while you are a finance guy, I'm not gonna force you to put your finance hat on and start talking dollars. But Edwin Diaz signing 3 years, $69 million. You're looking at $23 million a year. I think for Edwin Diaz, he needed a fresh start out of New York, especially after the injury from last year, coming back half the season, not being who he was, still feeling kind of probably some residual effect from the injury. I think getting out of New York made sense. I think the Dodgers needed a closer, or at the very least, a setup man for their closer. So I think this signing makes sense. And the dollars to position, I think, was spot on.
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker, explain to me in your mind how the dollars to position makes sense, please.
So the Dodgers ownership group has called me several times this week, and I've sent them a voicemail. Between family reunion and softball today, it's just too tough to get. I don't have time. I don't know. I mean, part of that I think I read was a $64 million signing bonus. So do I love the fact that they paid an insane amount for 4 years for a guy that has a 262 career average? Probably not. The nice part about where Kyle Tucker sits from an offensive perspective, the nice part of where he sits is he's going to see pitches, because he's one of those bats that you can steer to instead of steer away from, right? And so I was going through, Dave Roberts likes to do left, right, left, right, left, right. So I was going through this with a buddy of mine. This is your hypothetical lineup. Shohei, followed by Mookie, followed by Freddie, followed by Will Smith, followed by Kyle Tucker, followed by Teoscar Hernandez, followed by Max Muncy, followed by Andy Paez, followed by Tommy Edman. So that's a great lineup, but Kyle's going to see some pitches. So offensively, we might see more production. Defensively, Teoscar Hernandez was in right field last year. Was he awesome at it? He was an average right fielder. So you're probably going to pick up a little bit more defensively, but to the tune of the cash that they're talking about, I don't know.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at the actual contract as it sits.
Yep.
Now, technically, while it is a 4-year contract, Kyle Tucker, let's just say, breaks out over the next 2 seasons. He can opt out after the 2027 season. He has an opt-out available to him.
Beautiful. Okay. Opt out.
But again, if he doesn't opt out, you're now on the hook for the remaining balance of that. Now, also, there's $30 million that the Dodgers did defer in that, $10 million over the 27, 28, 29 season. Obviously, if he opts out after 27, you're only deferring $10 million, so it's not a terrible amount, but you still fronted $64 million in a signing bonus.
Oh, 100%. And see,
ludicrous dollar value to front load.
Ludicrous speed. So here's the thing, Sammy. Here's if I'm Kyle Tucker, I watch all of my P's, all of my Q's, I dot all my I's, I cross all my T's. Because even after 2 years, where is he going to get this type of cash? He can't.
100%. I also now, as well, looking at the Kyle, he'll be, if he opts out after 27, he'll be 30. So he'll be in the prime of his career. And at that point, while it might not be looking to make $60 million a year, he might be willing to take $40 million a year on a longer term deal.
Yep.
To average that out even more. So you could look at an 8-year deal, fully, 8-year, no opt out, let's just say at 400, where he's making what, 45 mil a year.
Mhm.
You know, so there is where I think he's probably looking at it as, let me go in and crush it the next 2 years. Dodgers are in a good place. They'll probably win at least one World Series over the next 2 years, maybe two. And if I'm dominating, I can opt out, put myself back on the market, and I can try to get more years with less annual dollar amounts to offset that high per year.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's real quick. I wanna because we could talk about Kyle Tucker. I want to talk about two things in this free agent thing, and then we'll move to the next slide. Number one, I want to talk about Alex Bregman, and I'm going to ask you a question, Sam, and then I want to talk about Queens. I want to talk about the Metropolitans. So let's start first in Queens. It looked like the team was completely dismantling. And I was on a X Spaces with a bunch of Mets fans, and they were just land blasting everything after the Kyle Tucker signing, breaking down his contract, all of the things, right? So that's great. But I kept saying, hey, Uncle Stevie is the richest owner in Major League Baseball. Either A, he doesn't know how to negotiate because he only got beat out. The Mets offered him $20 million less. So he only got beat out by $5 million a year. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two, he's got to have something else up his sleeve. The very next day, Bo Bichette signs. Where do you think Queens is looking? Do you think this is a revival now? Do you think the fans are going to be back at it? Because I've got some text messages that say some very harsh things.
So, well, I initially, seeing the Bo Bichette contract, thought this could be a great revival. 3 years, it's going to set them up. When you actually dive into the Bo Bichette contract, it's a 3-year contract with a player option for 27 and 28.
Correct.
So, do we think that Bo Bichette, if he has a stellar year, is going to want to say, yeah, I'll kill it with the Mets for the next 2 years? Or do you see Bo Bichette at the age of 29 after the 2026 season saying, I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to go back out there. I'm going to see who's willing to pay me more money. And I look at Bo Bichette, killing it at second base, really set, because we all know Bo Bichette as a stellar shortstop. And he moved over to second base after he got back, he got back from the injury and really halfway through the 25 season, and he started to pick up steam. I think this will be a year where he could showcase his talent at second base and what he can do at second, and then say, you know what? I'm going back out there. I'm going to go out. I'm going to opt out of New York, and I'm going to see who wants to pay me $50 million a year and give me, again, the long-term contract that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Because I think Bo Bichette is the quality star player that any team would be willing to put at second base and pay him the money that he's looking for, but want to give him long-term commitments. And I think the fact that the Mets only gave him 3 years and basically pulled a Farhan like he did when Farhan was the Giants GM, saying, we're going to give you a 2-year contract with a 1-year opt-out. We're going to give you a 2-year contract with a 1-year opt-out. Like, that's what I'm looking at in this. And I'm like, if I'm a player, I just know I got to crush it for a year, and then I can go out there and dominate the market.
Yeah. Okay, Sam, I'm gonna pivot that because you just said something perfect that is a pivot to Bregman. By the way, everybody that's on, feel free if you have a question or if you want to ask something. I mean, we have the chat up. Feel free to ask a question. We'll be happy to answer it. But you just talked about the opt-out with Bo Bichette. Now, Alex Bregman signs a 3-year deal, and the Red Sox say to Alex, you're our third baseman. Rafi Devers gets his knickers in a twist and decides, I'm going to be pissed off. I'm not a first baseman. I'm not a DH. I'm a third baseman. So he gets upset. And then
Gets
they
traded to San
basically traded
Francisco.
him to a team that is irrelevant.
Dot,
Wait.
dot, 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 dot.
Everybody's got to know I'm a Dodger fan. Sam's a Giants fan. So
Mind your tongue, good sir.
but they trade him. They trade Rafi to the Giants, right?
Mhm.
And then the Giants, he's doing just fine in San Francisco. Alex decides to opt out. Now you have no third baseman.
Yeah.
So do you feel Sam? Do you feel slated if you're the Red Sox? And B, how much do you hate these 1-year opt-outs?
I am, depending on the player, I'm not as opposed to a 1-year opt-out as, because you could get a middle, like a middle tier player at that position, give him a 2-year contract, give him the 1-year opt-out, and then make it a club opt-out, because the market the following year is going to be higher, is going to have a lot more players at that position becoming available. So you might say, hey, we'll give you a 2-year contract, but we're going to control the opt-out. And that's all strategy, because the following year, the third base market's going to be astronomical, and there's going to be a multitude of high-profile third basemen available. I think giving the players the opt-out, you're basically leaving it at their hands to say, like, I want to dominate, and if I dominate, I'm going to go get the value. So I think it really depends on the player that you're signing to the opt-out, and the team that they're signing to, because again, you've got your big name teams, you've got your Yankees, your Giants, your Dodgers, your Red Sox, your Cubs, you got these big branded teams that are looking to win now and are consistently looking to win now. So it's a catch-22. Now, do I think it's the smart business play? Probably not, because you get a high-profile player and you give them a 1-year opt-out, a 2-year contract with a 1-year opt-out, and now you're hyping your fans up for a year, saying we got this guy for 2 years, but really you only got him for 1. No, I think from a fan's perspective, it's a terrible call. But from a business perspective, again, depending on what the market's going to look like when the opt-out happens, could make sense for them. So I think it's a catch-22. Now, if we're specifically gearing this towards the Red Sox, if I'm a Red Sox fan, and Mike, if you are still in the chat, please put your feelings in, because I really want to see what you have to say about this. You have to feel gutted, absolutely gutted by what just happened. You trade Devers, who is a stellar third baseman, to the Giants. You make Bregman your third, and then you don't re-sign Bregman for that dollar value, which he easily would have taken if the Red Sox had offered him. And now he goes to the Cubs. And now you've got no one. Like, you have no one at third base. So if I am the Red Sox fans, I am looking at management and the ownership group of the Red Sox and saying, what are you, like, what are you taking? What are you doing that you're not going out and just putting dollars in front of him?
Sam,
I would have paid him $40 million. I would have paid him $40 million a year for 5 years, giving him $200 million just to ensure that he didn't go anywhere, because he's one of the top third basemen in the league.
Yeah. See, I guess I'm cynical, because the way that I look at this is you can't rise to the level of an MLB owner without knowing a little bit about negotiation and business, right? I mean, you might not know a lot about the game. Take Frank McCourt, for example, but he owned parking lots and he knew business. He understood business. He understood dollars and cents. He understood negotiations, right? Terrible baseball owner, but he understood business. I mean, it's hard. When I actually talked to Mike about this on our Unraveling Baseball show that aired this week. and he had an opinion about it, which was great. And I'll let you ask him about that. I actually thought the way that he broke it down was pretty good. I actually was a little different of his opinion. I would have felt slighted, right? Here I touted, hey, I got this third baseman on for 3 years. Hey, my franchise third baseman, we can move him. It's okay. We got this guy for 5 years. It's going to be awesome. Don't worry. Oh, he opted out. Shoot. Right. Oh, and now we don't have the other franchise third baseman either. I would have felt slated, but Mike had a different opinion on it, and I actually liked Mike's breakdown. So,
no, I mean, I'll definitely check in with Mike. It doesn't look like he's still on, so I will connect with him offline about it. But when you look at, Bregman had a 3-year, $120 million contract, 25 through 27. It could have been very easy for the Red Sox to just give him an extension for those 5 years as they wanted to make this happen. Now, when you look at, again, the Cubs contract with Bregman, they deferred $70 million of the contract from 2034 to 2041. So they got a lot of, dollars off of that, payroll that they would have had to pay up front. So, average annually, he's making around $22.5 million a year. So, for them, it's great. They get him for 5 years. They get him from 32 to 36 when he's in his prime. By the time he's 37 and he's a free agent, he's going to be on the downswing of his career, probably turning into more of a DH position, if anything, maybe still playing third every now and then. But yeah, if you're my opinion, if you're the Red Sox, you lost this. Like, you put yourselves in a very tough position with the free agents that are still out there at third base, who you have in the minors that you could bring up to be your third baseman. I'm not confident for the Red Sox organization right now, especially on that infield left corner. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Feel very tough about it. A couple of other ones I really just want to touch on real quick, and we'll move on. Pete Alonso to the Orioles, 5 years, $155 million. Great signing. I think this was perfect. This was the perfect place, in my opinion, for Pete Alonso. That Camden Yards is surrounded by those buildings. Baltimore is all about their baseball. You've got, Jackson Holiday, you've got Adley Rushman, you've got all these great young players. You bring in a guy like Pete Alonso who can smash the ball. You have that somewhat lower, you have that brick wall in right, but it's not super high. It's still kind of low. So he's going to still be flailing those things over. And the fact that Orioles Park is kind of in to the ground gives him that height value. I think this was, of all the signings that have happened, the best signing player to team combo you could have seen this offseason.
Yeah. I liked this. I don't like this for the Mets, but I love this for the Orioles. The Orioles were in the playoffs 2 of the last 3 seasons. They had some injuries. Now you put him in Baltimore, and they picked up another free agent as well. But you put him in Baltimore with Henderson and Adley Rushman, and you've got something going, right? Baltimore's got something going.
Oh, yeah, 100%. They also had signed Zach Eflin, the starting pitcher, on a 1-year, $10 million contract. The Orioles did this offseason. So, yeah, I think this was the right move for the Orioles.
100%.
I think last year was just a year plagued with injuries for them. If that team can stay healthy through the whole season, Jackson Holiday can put his – you saw Jackson Holiday kind of figure his swing out towards the end of the year, doing more of a twist with his hips to really start elevating the ball. We knew Jackson was a stellar fielder, so that never changed.
but his bat was where he was struggling. He figured it out at the end of the year. Now you put him with Pete Alonso on the right side of the infield. This team is watch. I would not be shocked if the Orioles made a major splash and could potentially, and I'll say it early, could potentially be AL East champions. Like, that's an early prediction that I would not be shocked to see going into this 26 season.
It could be. I mean, it's early. It's really, really early. They still got to pitch. So we'll see.
No, obviously, they still got to pitch. They still got to put, they still have to show what they can do at the pitching, because that's still kind of an area of concern for them. But from an offensive perspective, it is going to be tough with the lineup that the Orioles have in that first 1 through 5 to pitch around anything. You can't.
100%. 100%.
But yeah, I mean, there were a couple of other signings. Robert Suarez to the Braves for 3 years on $45 million. Braves won there. Ranger Suarez going to the Red Sox, I think, is a great spot for him. And then Jorge Polanco going to the Braves on a 2-year, $40 million contract. Good move for Polanco, good move for the Braves. The Braves need to do something. But these are the big ones. These are the ones that, we felt were super important to just highlight, especially since the amount of time we've been away, that we wanted to just kind of bring our opinion and bring our insight to. If we had been going on throughout the whole offseason like we typically do, we would have been talking about these in real time. But I think as we go from the free agents who have signed to the free agents still available, there's a lot of things to talk about even on this slide. You got a number of great players still available at key positions, offensively and defensively. Rhys Hoskins at first, Luis Arias at second, Eugene Suarez at third, Mitch Garver in the squat, Marcell Ozuna being a free agent from the Braves, Lucas Giolito, Framber Valdez, Zach Gallen, Harrison Bader, Bellinger, as you mentioned before. I mean, these are all going to be names that I would expect as we inch closer to spring training, we're going to see really start to get their names called sooner rather than later.
Right. And there's a correction in one of our things that we said. Jorge Polanco did not go to the Braves. He went to the Mets on the last slide. Chris corrected us. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Chris.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate that. Keeping me on my toes. Hey, look, I'm going to make one mistake in every slide, and if that's the one, then that's the one I make a mistake on. I'll
You're
take
a Giants fan. I don't know if there's going to be just one, but whatever. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, interesting free agent class still out there. Obviously, everybody is focused on Cody Bellinger and where's Cody Bellinger going to sign. My personal opinion on Cody is he's overcooking his grits. The Yankees literally gave him a great offer, yet he wanted a longer-term deal. Scott Boras is that longer-term deal guy. So we'll see what happens there. But there's a lot of good players out there still to grab. So and is there any one specific one on here that you have a very strong opinion about, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of strong opinions on a few of these guys. I mean, that's just going to be evident because I have strong opinions about most players.
You have strong opinions, period. Yep.
But I think when I'm looking at this, there's a couple of guys like that. I'm not sure where they're gonna land because I don't know where what these teams are looking at in regards to what they have or what they need. I know the Giants signed a starting pitcher, but I'm not sold on him. So I would still be inclined to see the Giants go after a Zach Gallen or a Lucas Giolito. I've said it before. after what Framber Valdez did in Houston to his catcher, I would not like to see Framber in San Francisco. I just think
I would.
I know you would. Because he's got that Houston background, so you want to take him for what he's got. But with Tony Vitello being there, being a new manager, I don't want to see Tony have to like put the fear of God into Framber Valdez's eyes to like make him do his job. I'd rather him have players there that like want to be there, want to be a part of the team, aren't going to be bitter when you as a pitcher make the mistake of not backing off the mound and giving up a home run and then throwing the ball at Patrick Bailey's chest. Like, absolutely not, because Tony Vitello is not going to let that happen. Cody Bellinger, I think if Cody's willing to, Cody is a natural center fielder, but the thing with Cody is that he can move to left, he can move to right. So if Cody is open to playing anywhere in the outfield rather than just sticking at center field, I could see him, being more inclined to get more opportunities, more offers. I also think Cody is just going to be commanding too much money. I think Cody needs to downplay his expectations of what he is actually going to get,
100%.
then expect to get a high dollar value, especially because, right now, they're saying that he's 30, he's going to be 31 halfway through the season. $30 million a year is what, they're projecting for him. I think it's he's a good player, but he has his ups and his downs, and that's the problem. He hasn't had one consistent season where he's really been that all-star-esque, like, dominating player. And I think for him, that's where he's gonna find some issue. But as a Giants fan, we're in need for a second baseman. Giants have talked about trading for a second baseman. You also have a guy like Luis Arias, who's still a free agent. I would not be upset bringing in Luis Arias on a fairly high valued contract for 1 year, and then say hope Bo Bichette opts out after 2 years, and then you hope Bo Bichette opts out after 2 years on his contract, and then you bring in Bo Bichette or 1 year or whatever. Because I'd love to see Bo Bichette in San Francisco. That's just a personal preference of mine.
You'd like to see everybody. I heard that Aaron Judge was going to San Francisco.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, Arson Judge over there, and then he flamed out and went to the Yankees.
If you watch this show, if anybody wants to create like a bingo card, feel free. If you watch this show on a consistent basis, Sam would love to see everybody as a Giant. I mean,
that's not true. You're the one that put freaking Dylan Cease in like 1,000,001 teams last year.
Oh, of course. Dylan Cease was going to play for the Space Cowboys last year.
He's going to play for everyone.
The 66ers.
Every single team in baseball, minus the Dodgers and the Giants. That was your projection. He was going to go everywhere except those two teams.
Of course. Yeah.
So let's flip this. On your side, who out of the free agents we have here is going to be, let's go, who are the next 3 to 5 free agents that are going to be signed before spring training, and who is going to be waiting till spring training to get signed?
I actually think all of these people will get contracts someplace before spring training. This is an amazing list. I forgot how many. The only one that might struggle finding a contract, although the Yankees are high on Framber Valdez right now, is Framber Valdez. What he did last year, mixing up his catcher, his locker room antics, just different things like that, is going to make it really, really hard for him to find something. But all of these guys, I think, will sign before spring training. You've got some veteran leadership in Rhys Hopkins and Paul Goldschmidt. Both of those guys are veterans. They're amazing. They'll be great for the clubhouse. They may produce for you stellar numbers. They may not. Who knows? Luis Arise, though, I mean, this guy hits the ball a ton. He doesn't hit it a long way, but he hits on a lot. So
Yeah.
all these guys will find places. Harrison Boehner is a great guy to have in your lineup. He might not be an everyday player, but give him a 3-year, $10 million deal, right? And let him enjoy that. Tommy Pham loves to lead fantasy football leagues and things like that. And heads up, I mean, he gets, he'll go to blows with you if he's not happy about the fantasy, football stuff. But Tommy Pham, Michael Conforto had a down season with the Mets 2 seasons ago. He had a decent season with the Dodgers, but he was very streaky. He had times where he had 50 at-bats and he hit 350. He had times where he had 50 at-bats and he hit 108. And so, but all these guys will find homes. There's a lot of teams out there that need to structure, that are just looking outside of the playoffs and need to restructure. One of the teams that I think has a very good shot, maybe not in 26, but one of the teams that has a very good shot to look at the playoffs is 27. If there's a season in 27, definitely in 28, is the White Sox. The White Sox have a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, no, I think the White Sox are a team that they've got their own internal struggles. And I think for them, one of the big topics of conversation, especially over the last couple of years, has been, do the White Sox move on from Lou Bob? Does Lou Bob, move to, do they trade him? What do they extend him? What do you do with him? Because he has just been so up and down. And it's tough because teams see that and they're like, while he's a big name and he had that great rookie season, since then, he hasn't produced at the level that you would have expected him to produce. But I think the White Sox are a team that's going to skate under the radar over the next year or two. And I think within the next 1 to 2 seasons, they're going to make enough moves to kind of shock teams by the time we get to 28, 29, 30, where they're going to be back in the conversation for that AL Central.
Yeah. No, and again, I mean, yes, and some of these free agents, the American League East is now going to be the division to watch again. That's just, it's going to be a tough division. The Yankees haven't made any splashes yet. They've been focusing in on Cody, but they will make splashes, I'm sure. Toronto, lost Bo Bichette, but they picked up Dylan Cease. We've already talked about Baltimore, right? Tampa Bay hasn't done anything yet, but we'll see. But a lot of these guys can find homes.
Yeah.
I mean, Suarez, for example, I mean, my gosh, he can hit the ball a ton and a great third baseman. So looking for a third baseman, there you go.
Yeah, no, 100%. Is there any one player on this team that you look at and you're just on this list and you look at and you're just like, he is going to sign here?
No, I would have said that about Cody Bellinger last week. This week, I don't know where I'm relatively concerned. And again, I'm not in these talks, but I'm relatively concerned that Scott Boras may have pushed too hard. And at this point, Cody Bellinger is possibly a liability. That just, it's a little scary to me where Cody's at, because he's played in big market places like LA, Chicago, now New York. If he doesn't sign back in New York, where's he going to go? Who's going to pay him the kind of cash that the Yankees were willing to pay him on that type of deal? Not Colorado, not Minnesota, not Seattle. Like, where's he going to go?
Yeah.
Not the Angels.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. And I think there was a couple, I'm looking at, Boris is the Boris Corporation is like the free agents that or the players that he represents are like ridiculous. Like he literally represents like some of the best in baseball. But I think we're also starting to see, similar to what you said, Boris is starting to become too big for his own bridges. And he's starting to I think he is starting to ask a little too much of teams where they're not willing to make concessions. And they're going to say, well, you're asking too much for the value of this player.
And that could be the case.
Unrealistic.
Could be the case.
Yeah. Let's wrap this up and talk about spring training. Spring training, we're less than a month away from spring training.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you're getting excited about seeing during spring training as we go from that into the regular season? Because realistically, the regular season is within, 65, 70 days of starting?
Yeah, it's like 67 days or something like that, yeah.
So what are some of the things that you're excited to see from all the teams, not just the Dodgers, as spring training is arriving?
So the thing that I like most about spring training is seeing the guys back out there and acting like kids, just enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, they interact with the fans. They joke around in the clubhouse. They joke around in the dugout. It's not as dynamic as, it's more dynamic than in the regular season when you see the guys smiling, but everybody's got to be professional, right?
Yeah.
Spring training, you can literally, if you go to where the White Sox and the Dodgers play, you literally can watch them take batting practice and they walk right by you to get to the clubhouse.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to see some of this talent that has signed in different places like Bo Bichette. How does he handle spring training with the Mets? What's the reception that he gets? What's Pete Alonso's reception that he gets by the Orioles fans? I'm looking forward to seeing some of that stuff. That is always fun. And I am looking forward to not going to spring training this year. It's, first of all, they jacked the prices up in Arizona like crazy. But with the Dodgers having, just to give you an idea, everybody, and I told this to Sam earlier, those grass seats where you don't even get a seat, you just bring your blanket. You can't even bring a lawn chair. You bring your blanket out to Camelback Ranch. Those 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago were $5. Okay. Bake in the Arizona sun for $5, right? Then they signed Shohei. Those went up to $75. Last year, they went up to $85. This year, back-to-back World Series championships, those grass seats are probably going to be $100. I can sit on the grass in my front yard, right? Put my TV up, I'm good.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and when it comes to like a team like the Dodgers who have all of these big name players, you're going to expect to be paying top dollar for tickets at any of these teams. And that's, one of the reasons why I loved going out to spring training for all the years that I went, was that you could get tickets on the grass, whether you were sitting in the grass or you were sitting on the field level, the 100 section, so to speak, of spring training. You would spend anywhere between $10 and like $60 for a ticket.
Right.
You're now, with where these ticket prices are, you're not spending anything less than $40-$50, whether you sit in the yard, whether you're sitting in the field or in the grass, or if you're sitting in the 100 section, you could be paying upwards of $100 plus per ticket. And it's like, at that point, I've gotten tickets to go see the Phillies play, sitting in the 11th row from the field, and I've spent $75 on a ticket.
And if you're telling me that I'm going to have to pay $120 to sit in the 100 section 11 rows from the field at spring training, like I might as well just wait for regular baseball to start. So
Yeah.
I think these teams, if they want to keep fans involved and they want to keep fans coming and selling out these stadiums, they need to become more realistic with the pricing on what they're charging at these games. You know, fans spend a lot of money to go down to spring training to watch their teams play. And the goal is to not really, rip a hole in our pockets just to see them play at spring training, when most of the guys that are playing at spring training are guys that are going to end up going down to the minors. Look, when me and my dad would go to spring training, we would go the last 2 weeks of spring training because we knew that's primarily when the starters were going to be playing more baseball. So you want to charge a little bit more at the end of spring training than the beginning of spring training makes total sense. But fans should not be looking to pay $100+ a ticket to watch the players they want to see play one inning and then go play golf. Like, that's not why we go there. It's not. It just isn't. So if any of the owner groups are listening to this, get more realistic with your pricing, because fans are not going to start coming the first 2 weeks of the season if you're charging $100 a ticket. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think I see
too much money and too much time on your hands.
I think I see Zach Manassian Jr. on here and Buster Posey. So, hey, fellas, if you are listening,
well, they're
it's
pretty
okay.
good about keeping the prices reasonable for their fan base. It's not really them I'm too concerned about. Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there. Just saying. Maybe the Cubs are pretty good on their pricing too. I'm not going to.
Okay, I want to repeat something, everybody, since we've got about 3 minutes left here. I want to repeat something that we said before. So Sam and I are doing the show every Saturday. It's at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then all the times in between. Please feel free to pop on in. If you're interested in being a guest on here, reach out to us on either our Instagram account and or our X account and say, hey, I'd love to be on your Around the Diamond show. It would be awesome. Which leads me to making sure that you're following us there as well.
Absolutely. And Bill, you got a great podcast schedule coming up for this week. Why don't you take us through it real quick?
Absolutely. So Liz is a Blue Jays fan. She is going to be on Monday. Tuesday, we have the weekly review with Jackson.
Minus these other three people because I forgot to update it. So my apologies on that.
Yeah. So it's just Jackson and I will be on the weekly review. Dave and Derek are coming back. We used to do this with Dave, Derek, and Jason Beck. Unfortunately, Jason Beck is no longer with us. He passed away a couple of months ago. And so Dave and Derek and I are continuing that. Thursday is Phil. He's a Mets fan. He's got a lot to say about what's going on. And then Friday, my guest for Friday is in the process of confirming. So I don't want to let that cat out of that bag just yet.
There we go. And this week we've got some lives, which apparently did not get updated on the slide deck. So again, apologies for that. We've got some lives coming up this week. This is the first deck I'm doing on this streaming platform for this one, so I get a pass a little bit. But you got some lives coming up. You got Let's Talk Hot Stove this Monday, and you got Digital Dugout with Chris Parsons, the assistant GM for the Sugarland Space Cowboys, on Thursday. That will be streamed live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. So make sure you are checking that out. The Digital Dugouts are always a good time. Bill does a great job of reaching out into his bag of tricks and finding some awesome people to come and speak to the top fan community around stuff going on in baseball. We've had some legends, we've had some former players, have GMs come on. So it's definitely a good chance to, hear from some of the people that are who are boots on the ground and seeing what they've got to do with the game. Bill, you had a new sponsor you wanted to mention real quick?
Yeah, real quick. We want to thank Blaine Birch, who is a estate planning attorney, for sponsoring Top Fan Rivalry. We'll have more information with him and about him next week on this show and how you can get to him. You can always go to topfanrivalry.com next week if you're looking for an estate planning attorney. But we are so grateful that you joined us.
Yes.
And Sam, let's wrap it up.
Well, Bill, you got to send this off your way as you always do.
Yep. Go fight, win. Everybody, we'll see you next week.
Win. Thank you so much for joining us this week on ATD. Make sure you are checking out topfanrivalry.com for new articles, podcasts, the merch. We have the T-shirt club. We have baseball card breaking clubs that we are a part of, whether it's the TFR 27 Outs Club, our great sponsor, Mike at Heads Up Sports Cards, who does a great job with card breaks as well. Make sure you are supporting both of those card breaking channels. Join us for the exclusive member events. And as we spoke about at the beginning of the show, we've got the TFR family reunions that happen throughout the season. Make sure you are joining us for all of those things. Thank you so much again for taking your time today to spend it with us this morning. This is Grand Slam Sam. That's Baseball Bill. We're signing off, and we'll see you on the field next week.